Whenever you have films in the psychological thriller or horror genres, it's essentially second nature to ask what the subgenre is, since there's a handful of those that movies these days fit in. Is it slasher? Is it found footage or desktop horror? Is it paranormal? Or like in the case of The Institute, is it about a cult? Or featuring a creepy pregnancy? Gravitas Ventures sent me a screener to check out this film a little bit early. Comes out on Tuesday, but how was it? Well, let's get cracking. The Institute ultimately follows around a young couple desperate to start a family, but no matter what they try, nothing seems to work. Natural and holistic approaches seem to go without any result, and even a few failed attempts at in vitro fertilization. When they nearly give up, they discover a strange institute that promises success where other attempts have failed. But is this the answer to the prayers that they've been hoping for, or is it a nightmare that they'll find impossible to wake from? While watching this film, you might get a few flashbacks to certain creepy baby or pregnancy films like Rosemary's Baby, or movies about cults, like most recently you got Midsummer or even Jordan Peele's Us, but only vague. It's nothing that shouts extreme copycat syndrome or anything. If anything, I'd actually just say it's slight inspiration, which is not a bad thing at all because those are actually very popular horror films. If I was prone to write horror films myself, I might even take inspiration from them as well. So no, I'm more of a fan of cults than, babies in horror. I think that there's a lot of possibility and secrecy when it comes down to cults and what their end goals are. And the Institute is a creepy cult, specifically because it has a fascination and almost uncomfortable obsession with getting these people pregnant, to the point where our ringleader essentially is watching these people's every moment together, including when they try to conceive. He's such a weirdo. Visually, he looks like a live-action version of Guru from Despicable Me, a straight-up mad scientist type of guy, rail-thin, slick-back, greasy hair, wide Cheshire grin that could put anybody on edge. Perfect casting as far as visuals are concerned. And when you find out what's actually happening at the Institute at the end of the movie, or at least when you're given a slight idea, since the movie doesn't actually straight up give you a solid answer, it takes the weirdness factor up times 10. But none of that answers if the movie's any good. And honestly, I was not a huge fan of this film for a couple of reasons. The first being visuals. On one side of the argument, the visuals are pretty solid when it came down to practical effects and makeup, at least towards the end. I commend them on that. That was actually really great. But there's not a lot of instances of that. Instead, the movie has far more graphically visual issues such as CGI and most prominently, green screen. The easiest thing to get right in visuals is probably chroma keying, in my opinion. But there's a laboratory in the film that is clearly shot on a green screen, and you can see what is called artifacts when playing back that scene. Now, what I saw was a screener, so there's always a possibility that it was unfinished, but artifacts with green screen means seeing a border around the subject that is green that has not been taken out, and beyond that, the subjects were also partially transparent. Not by much, but if you look close enough, you could see the background through them, as if they were a ghost. Now, I've run into that many times myself, since I don't actually work in a movie studio, and I don't actually have a real green screen. So things happen and they're imperfect, sure, but I didn't think that I'd see the same problems that I run into personally in an actual movie. The other problem that I had with the film is the actor who played the doctor, or as I had mentioned before, the ringleader. He looks perfect for this role, absolutely, but he's also probably the worst actor in the movie too. As soon as he starts speaking, I didn't get the feeling that he's evil and scary, and somebody that I needed to stay away from. Instead, I got the feeling that, this is probably just somebody's dad that got asked to play a part in a movie. Now, I can't say if that's true or not, but I can tell you that that's the feeling that I got from it. The movie isn't all bad, though. It was really nice to see Ignacio, who played Daniel in this film again, who I saw not too long ago when I covered another screener with him in it called Like Dogs, which I thought he performed really well in, and I thought he did a great job here too. In fact, it's sometimes hard to tell when somebody is a good actor in a project that isn't so good. If everybody around you isn't that great, and the script is also shoddy at best, you're not going to come off as a good actor. But I could sense that at the very least, he was doing his best, and he did indeed do a great job. So Ignacio, if that's how you say your name, and if you're watching right now, you did a good job. But I'd be lying if I said it was a film that's easy to get through. It's short, yet I felt the need to pause it a few times because I was just not engaged. The bad acting, the shoddy craftsmanship when it came down to the visuals sometimes took me out of a story that I actually kind of liked. The concept wasn't that bad. The idea wasn't that bad. I did want to know what the end goal was, but the trip to get there was sometimes bumpy. Take that as you will. Let's take a look at this end score. From a technical, unbiased score, there's things that I thought were done well, but every single time I thought something worked out for the better, there was another aspect of the film that brought it back down. Every single time. Like how the casting was perfect for the Doctor, and yet the worst casting at the same time. Like how I thought the guy who played Daniel was a great actor, and yet everybody else was just not. Like how the practical effects are great, but the visual effects were the opposite. It stepped on its own toes over and over and over again, so that my unbiased score could literally be nothing more and nothing less than 50%. As for how I personally felt about the film, or my bias score, I think that it had a very interesting concept and idea. But at the end of the day, it is nothing that I want to see again, nothing that I want to buy or own or recommend to others. I also think that the filmmaker's original vision wasn't fully realized. I could be wrong, but that's just the feeling that I got. So my bias score is only 30%, meaning that when we combine the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 42%. 42 out of 100 possible stars. So Gravitas Ventures, I thank you for the screener as always, but you can't always win some. You know, sometimes you gotta find a release that just doesn't work, and I'm pretty sure that's what we have here with the Institute. But guys, the Institute comes out to digital this Tuesday, March 22nd. If you plan on watching it, or have already seen it, let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come up with my next review. And until then, peace out.